Last time we learned how to do charting, how to take data and turn it into a chart. We're going to focus now on one particular type of chart, which becomes a really important type of chart that is used a lot in math and science. So some of the other kinds of charts like pie charts and bar charts, they're used a lot in geography or statistics or financial business type stuff. But math and science, we're going to be using scatter plots a lot. So it's really important to understand how to do a scatter plot. So what I have is I have some sample data, and it measures the length of the femur, which is the long bone in the leg, and the person's height. And basically what it comes down to is tall people have long legs and short people typically have short legs. And there's a connection between how long your leg is and how long you are. And we're going to find out what that connection is. So what we want to do is we want to select our data and make a chart. And we're going to start out selecting the data the way we know how to do, inserting the chart, and I'm going to show you what kind of chart you never want to do. So we definitely do not want to have the line chart. So if you ever have a chart that looks like that, that's the wrong kind of chart. If your chart looks like that, it's still the wrong kind of chart. What you want is near the bottom, there's going to be a scatter plot or a scatter chart, and it's just a bunch of dots on the page. And at that point, now we have the kind of chart that we want. We're going to do something later to put a line on there. You may have done in math something called a line of best fit, and you may have tried to figure out what the equation of that line is. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with this chart. We're going to make sure that we understand how the chart works and what are some of the things that we can do with it. So I'm going to start with customizing this. And I'm going to start with my axis title because my chart title is pretty good. I'm okay with that. I do want to center it. I think centered titles always look better. Notice that it says height versus femur. And notice that the height is on the vertical axis and the femur is on the horizontal axis. Notice that the first column of data, the femur, leg bone, that becomes the X or the horizontal, and the second column becomes the Y or the vertical. That's going to be an important pattern that we have to learn to work with in a little bit. Of course, height and femur are also indicated. I would probably want to put in that those are not chart title. I'm going to just go with the horizontal title. And down here where it says femur, I would probably prefer to see that that measurement is in centimeters or something like that. I'm assuming it's centimeters. 41 centimeters sounds like a pretty good leg bone. I'm going to move down a little bit to under series. I'm going to leave that alone. Legend, I'm actually going to get rid of the legend. I don't think I need a legend. So it's right in there at the top. I'm going to get rid of it altogether. That makes my whole graph look a little bit bigger. Also under here, under horizontal axis, not horizontal, vertical axis, I think. Scroll under vertical axis. Now, my largest number, my largest dot, is kind of hard to see. So what I'm going to do under minimum and maximum, I'm going to make this become one. Right now it says 190. I'm going to turn that to 200. And what that does is it squishes the chart just a little bit, but now all my dots are easily visible. So I've adjusted that. You'll notice that my chart does not start at 0. I wouldn't want it to start at 0. And I'm going to leave the rest of the stuff alone. And then, ooh, I take it back. I want one more thing. I think it's under series. Yeah. Under series, there's an option here for error bars, data labels. I don't really want any of those, but I do want the trend line. And if I click on the trend line, what it does is it draws a line of best fit. And there's a whole lot of calculations that have gone on in the background to make that line of best fit. And if I scroll down in the chart editor just a little bit now, I've got different options for what that trend line will look like. For us, it's always going to be a line. I can have some labels and if I look under the labels, I can actually find the equation. And if I click on that, what it does is it turns it into an equation of a line. So you could mathematically say if a person's leg bone is this long, then their height is probably that big. And you could also, there's a thing here that says show R2 or R squared. It takes up a little bit more room, but we can adjust the size of the chart later. Every set of data, you can make a line of best fit. But that doesn't mean that the best fit is actually a good fit. And that R squared value, R2 value, tells you a little bit about how good the fit is. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's another way to put it on there to say, I made the data, here's a line of best fit, and here's how good the fit is. Just for the sake of space, I'm going to take that out. Once you have that, now you've got a chart that has all that data. Now, if you wanted to have it the other way around, if you wanted height to be on the x-axis and you wanted femur to be on the y-axis, so instead of height versus femur, if you wanted it flipped, femur versus height, easiest way to do that is to make a copy of your data, one column at a time, so that you end up with another set of data. Because the problem is, once you start messing with the data that you have, you might start messing with the chart. So for example, if I take out these middle ones, I lose dots on the chart. So I don't really want to start messing with the order or the arrangement of these things. So if I want to graph that the other way around, then I'm going to make another data set using exactly the same numbers, but where they're in the other order. So we're going to do a bunch of things where you are trying to figure out if there's a relationship or how good is the relationship between different things that are being measured. And then we'll make a bunch of scatter plots and see how good the fit is. We'll also do one later where you are calculating some data and putting that on the scatter plot. And we'll be doing lots of charting again.